Hello, 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 hello. How y'all doing? Good, good, good. So, I just wanted to take a moment and kind of record something. Maybe one day this will come handy to someone, or they may know what I was thinking about. I hope. But if not, it's okay. At least that's what I think about my life. My life, when I was young, man, young boy, I was raised in environment that was such a family oriented, a lot of love towards this understanding that family is everything, and mom, dad, brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts, cousins, neighbors, everybody. You know what I mean? It was all about that, unity and loving one another, caring for one another, respecting one another, and just so much emphasis on the idea that how important it is to be in a home or in a place where people look after each other and care for each other and love each other, and and genuinely want each other to be okay. That was my first 15 years of life, and 10 months actually, 15 years and 10 months, because I left India in 96, December the 29th, and we came to the US or the 31st, one or the other, but anyhow, we landed here in the United States of December the 30th of 1996, and that was in LA, at the LAX airport. And I remember that day so vividly, because it was just a really special day, man. It was a really special day because what's special about it was like I had no idea what to expect. I was actually fighting with my family, even ran away from my home in the morning of the day that we were supposed to leave, which was the day before. And I was literally telling my parents, like, what the you know what I mean? This is crazy. Like, you guys just gonna just leave and go to America and we're never coming back. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell? Like, we live here. This is home. This is why are you leaving all of it? And none of it made any sense to me at the time. But that's why that day, which was the day after, became the most special day in my life, because as soon as we landed at the airport and obviously cleared through the coming out of the airport, I'm sorry, not coming out of the plane, because back then in 96 they didn't have these things like where the plane just kind of parks next to the terminal and then you just walk out inside the airport. Back then you still had to actually come off the airport, walk down to the ground, and then up to the terminal area where you go inside of the airport. So as I come down of the airport, out of the airplane and step to the ground, first time just touching the soil of US, and I look around, and not that the airport was any different in India. The airports are almost identical because they have to have that cleanliness. They have to have that clearance of everything. No birds, no nothing, you know what I mean? Because that's the only way that the planes can do it. But there was just something different. It just felt different. As I come out of it and I step on the ground and walk and look around, I was like, wow. There's something different, you know what I mean? It just instantly felt beautiful. It felt like there was a different sense of a peace. Even though in California, as you know, it's the craziest time always, especially in those days too. A lot of violence and craziness. But think about it this way. You coming from a village in India where violence is not even talked about because it's so normal. It's like every day somebody is under some sort of a distress, and something is just happening in every corner of that country. Children are being abducted and put to the streets for begging, and child molesting, rapes, killing, human trafficking. I mean, come on, this is just a normal thing in those kind of countries, and that's why we love this country. That's why America is what it is because. Not that the people here aren't part of that same dumb shit, and a lot of the people at the higher places that do the same things, you know what I mean? That's just kind of, I guess people get bored after a while. They made money and then they've just done so much, and so they just need new activities or new excitement to do something new. So people get into a lot of dumb shit. But anyhow, long story short, this is the country where your children can walk down the street. A woman can walk down the street and know and feel comfortable enough to understand that you're fine. You're fine. You're gonna be okay. Everything is okay. Like that. You have that confidence. But you don't have that confidence when you walk in any other in those countries. Now, I do question this. So one idea, which I think is which is why I even say this, because people always ask oh, what about back home? I'm like, what do you mean? That doesn't make any sense to me because there is no back home. Yes, there was a moment that I questioned my own parents, and then they're like, why are we leaving? I don't want to leave. You know what I mean? This is home. But then we left, and what's different about perhaps my situation is like my parents didn't leave or decided to leave with some sort of a backup plan, like they were gonna come back or somehow this was gonna be, if it didn't work out we'll be back, and then like there was no backup plan. It was just like we're going there and that's it. And that's why when I came and landed here in the U.S. and it didn't instantly change my mind, I was like, okay, all right, you guys made a good decision. This is awesome. This is fucking amazing. Please excuse my language. This is awesome. This is amazing. And yeah, thank you for bringing me here. And but then quickly I recognized and realized that everyone around me was speaking English. I was introduced to English, but not something I didn't speak it. I couldn't even understand. Like I knew the ABC, and I could read, to a certain aspect of it, and like I could read it, but 9 out of 10 words that as I was reading them, I didn't know what they meant. Like I didn't understand the language of English, like how it translated what it meant. Like, how do I speak to somebody and make sense out of it? I didn't understand that. Like I knew ABC, and then I could put the words together to like, okay, this means hi, hello, thank you, you're welcome, you know what I mean? Or a store and a bus and car, you know what I mean? I can make sense out of the things like as this was spelled out, but I didn't know what they meant. But it didn't take long. Literally 2 months later, 2 months into it, I was on a fast track of trying to have a conversation with people. Like, this is so surreal. And it's the realest thing that I can remember of my life, of going back and making sense out of it. Like, this was crazy moment in my life, like where I'm around everyone that does not know how to speak my language, and I didn't know how to speak theirs. But think about it, I'm one, and you talk about 300 other million people. Of course, I didn't deal with all of them at one time. So, but I'm in the country. So, all of a sudden now, I'm looking at myself like, okay, they're not gonna know anything about me. So I've got to be the one share myself with everybody. I'm the one who's got to learn to speak this language and communicate with these people, and share my message and share my thoughts and share my feelings, and you know what I mean, and just be able to have some sort of a sense that I belong here, and they will reciprocate to that, like, okay, yeah, he belongs here. Because if you're just out of place, like, you don't understand anything, you can't speak the language, your behaviors are not up to the par, you know what I mean? Like, you're just lacking a lot of normal, basic human intelligence. Like, it's not even like you have to be Einstein intelligent, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be genius, but you gotta have a common sense. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you living in this country, you live in a place where everyone is different than you are. So either you can try to bend them all to be like you, which is like, that's like the stupidest thing that you try to go embarking on. Like, really? You're gonna try to change 300 million people to be like you? No, that's not gonna work. However, that doesn't mean that you have to completely change everything about you. Like, you have to now become a robot or become somebody totally so different than everybody else. No, you do not have to do that. What you do need to do is you need to come up with this idea of like how you need to present yourself as an authentic person. Obviously, if you don't know what the authentic meaning is, please search it. But I'll touch on it just briefly, just so that way I can make sense of what I mean. Authentic is just simply, what I mean by that is like, be yourself. You know what I mean? That don't change yourself. Don't become a robot. Don't become a circus joker where you're just like, now putting on a show for everybody else. Because that's a fake. It doesn't serve you any good in the long term, because you're just trying to please people. You're trying to impress people based on this persona that is not even yours. You're just jumping in. Like, I almost being an actor. But we hear those actors' stories all the time. They're like, oh, this person is, this actor is this way, this actor is that way. Why we hear those stories? Because they're not anything like what they represent in the movies. You know what I mean? Or the shows and TV, in front of all that camera. So that's why you hear those stories. But at the end of the day, what you really need to come to terms with is you're just a human being. They're just a people just like you and me and everybody else. They have nothing different about them, except there's a burning desire that's living inside of them. There's a vision that they have in this society as they go through it. Like, every day you're going to go through it and you're going to meet people, see people, experience people. And some people are going to tell you the same thing you already know. Some people are going to tell you something like, oh. And, so they open your eyes to so many different things. So being authentic simply comes down to this idea of it, that don't lose yourself to this world that has today social media, but just going back 20 years ago, there was no such a thing. And people were still using maps and figuring out, like, imagine that. Imagine the intelligence of those people who could open up this thing, big thing, and there's no real any robotic or AI or any sort of a computeristic things that is saying turn left or turn left, right or turn left, and do this and slow down and speed limit. None of that was happening. These people were actually looking at this big map, this big paper that has streets going, this is the names and they had to figure that out. Think about that intelligence. If you saw that today, in fact, I know for sure 99.9% of the people today, if you were giving them the map Well, maybe I shouldn't say that because there are still so many people that was born in the 70s and the 60s and 50s. I think outside of the 80s, yeah, you don't have anybody else who's gonna read it. 80s and indefinitely the early 90s. By the time the late 90s came along, we already had an internet, and but we just didn't know the actual power and the intellect or the impact that it was going to make in our existence. And obviously the rest is history. We know it once of course it was MySpace, and then it came with Facebook, and then the rest, you know what I mean? Yeah, Google and all that happened. So it's like, okay, whatever. So think about that, and so don't lose yourself. Be yourself, stay true to yourself, but don't be so ignorant to the idea that you don't need to learn new things, that you don't need to adapt to new ways of how you can advance your own life. Because if all this technology, all this tools, resources, and everything that exists, if they were just no good, they wouldn't exist. That's the first, right? And secondly, all those people wouldn't use it, and so they would become obsolete. The fact that they are not going to be obsolete, you can be certain about that, because of the technology only going to get advanced and better. However, what people need to come to terms with is that it's not about the technology, that what it's going to take away. Like a lot of people say, oh my God, it's gonna, electric self-driving trucks gonna take away jobs of people who used to drive trucks and everything. Self-intelligent stores, like the Amazon store that they created. You can walk in and then pick up everything. There's no cashiers, everything just digital. All that stuff, like that's gonna somehow, some ways take over the humans. But we need to keep in mind is these machines, these things are created by one entity, one race, one kind, and that's the humankind. So if these things are created by the humans, then these things cannot take over the humans, because the human intelligence is far beyond of any robot will ever form in an intelligence. However, what I do believe and what I do think is that if all humans become so naive and slow and stupid and lazy, and that they become so dependent on these robots, to where you become this type of a person where your daily needs and desires are exactly the same, day in and day out, week in week out, month in month out, year in year out. That's the danger. I do believe that is why they say that the one day the robots could take over. But there's but to that too. But let me finish what I was going to say. And that why that would happen is that they would learn that, oh, this human doesn't do anything differently. I already know. Like they would literally will have a complete memory of exactly the moment you're gonna wake up, go to sleep, or what you're gonna, like if you walked out of your bathroom, when you walked into a kitchen, or got ready and put on a certain kind of shoes and clothing and like they will form this understanding that they will know you are this person. And everyday behaviors are the same behaviors, so they will then advance themselves to where they will be proactive to your needs and desires and wants, because every day you want the same thing and you're doing the same thing. So now they would be advanced, right? They can get ahead of you, and that would happen. That can absolutely 100% happen, and where you would be threatened by that, but. This is where the but comes in. That robot does not have a brain of its own, right? the brain that exists in a robot is created by who? You, me, humans. And so we gave that robot a intelligent way to process this information because it was created, right? Okay, this is how it works. This is the pattern, the algorithm, and so this is how it's going to be. So now, what you can understand from that is like the moment you know the resilience of you. How many times you've been down, depressed, sad, broken bones, broken, all kind of things, no car, no home, sometimes homeless people. And I mean, there's just anything and everything that happened with a human being. But then all of a sudden one day, they're faced with that very sort of circumstances where somebody is just threatening their existence. And then all of a sudden they just wake up. And something triggers and this there's a brain, this sophistication system that exists in the human being that does not exist in any other form of life, only in a human. And it starts to, you know what I mean? It's turning. It's like, and all of a sudden you are now watching this robot. And because the robot does not have the brain, robot can only process information that it has gathered, that has been given to him or her, or it, I should say. And so it's only extracting this information from this is like this word, when this is like, I'm gonna, it's grabbing everything to be able to then become this intelligent to serve you and combat with you. But humans don't have that. What humans have is humans have this far more advanced, in the sense of a technology, far more advanced technology and far more sophistication to our way of processing information, because we are able to process information and become so accustomed to doing a certain way and become this routine person. Like, you wake up this hour, you do this, you do that. Like, you're almost like a robot, right? But you're not. It's because you have the most sophisticated system. You have this brain that is able to hold information, process information, gather information, and then is able to think even further than that information that is already gathered, because that's what the human mind is all about. That's how we created the planes. That's how we created the cars. That's how we created the cell phones, the radios, and the satellites and all that. It's because we have this ability to envision things in and through our mind, just by watching people in front of us and watching this world, whether it's a TV, books, reading, movies, whatever, or going out there in nature, experiencing all that. So we're able to do that. And we're able to advance ourselves. Well, that's why you, as a person, do not need to be worried that somehow these robotic AI intelligence systems is going to one day take over the society. Is the threat real? Yes, absolutely. They can, like I already just explained it, they will learn your patterns, they'll learn your behaviors, and they will act better than you. Well, actually, what I'm saying, they will act proactively to you. But can they really outsmart you? I don't think so. Because, if you're dumb and you don't want to use your brain, and if you're so bogged down, and and you just don't care. Well, obviously, then I'm sorry, I feel sorry for you, but that's not going to be the case with the society as a whole, because we as a people are too the depth of human beings' existence and the ability to understand of the existence, and how far we have come from where it was, where it began, and to where we are, and then also to how far we can go, and we are, and we can clearly see through it. And the perfect example is I wouldn't say perfect, I would say simple as example is that the headlights on a car or truck or whatever, you know what I mean? Majority of them are set to be able to push that light about 200 feet. And so 200 feet forward, these high beam lights that are able to provide a clarity right in front of you so you can travel 70, 80, 90, 100 miles an hour at pitch black dark nighttime. So imagine that. And then because of that 200 feet, you start from Utah, this is where I am, and jump on I-15 and head down south, and you would make it to California over a night. If you left at 10 p.m. at night, which is a pitch black dark, which is at 9 p.m. in California, and it takes about 10 hours total if you just drove, and the only thing that you did was just to get some gas and to make a quick stops, now like a 30-40 minute stop, maybe 5-10 minute stops, so you'll make it in 10 hours top, 11 max. And so if you left it at 10, and in California there's a 9, so 9 to 9 would be 12, right? So which means that the 8 a.m., but more importantly, I think by 7 a.m., you would make it to California. And throughout that whole time, from 10 p.m., 9 p.m., and up until 7 a.m., depending on the time of the year we are in, because, in the winter times, obviously, nights are far longer, so even 7 a.m., it will be dark outside. So you would make it through the entire night in a dark, pitch black dark, just by looking 200 feet ahead. Can you imagine that? So that's the beauty of a human mind. The human mind is so intelligent, so sophisticated, that it doesn't need too much. It only needs to know what it is that you desire and what it is that you want. Because you know how they talk about the law of attraction, this and like that, like, oh, everything's in your mind, what you think about is what you become. Well, that's the whole idea. So, and it's true, because there's no limit of the mind, inner mind, because it's the most sophisticated computer there is ever. And it's the only computer that does not have any limitations, because the robot does have a limitation, because you created the robot. Robot does not exist. Nobody created you beside you, obviously, man and a woman, creating it. But that idea of like the semen somehow goes into the woman's womb, and and then all of a sudden this creation comes. But this creation was created from the semen that is like a little white liquid thing, and then somehow it just gets in the womb of a woman, and then somehow it just mixes and whatever, and it creates this life. So does that mean that machine have a limit, or like what was going on in there during that time? Like was the mother or something inside of her womb was creating these legs and arms and creating the screws, how to tie it, creating all this thing. It was just a creation. But that's not the truth. Because think about it, it's just a semen, it's a white liquid thing, and then all of a sudden it just woman itself is a beauty, because look at what she's able to do with her body, with her existence. So come on, think about that. Like a robot can't do that. A robot can't mate with another robot and have like you can have like a male and a female robot. No, there's just a robot, right? So it's the humans are the only ones that are far beyond, above everything and anything that exists in this world, that can never be outtaken by any other species on the world. This whole idea of aliens and this and that, I buy it. There might be some sort of a truth, but I find it's a creations of the elite, because they're so bored and the society, as the time and the years keep going by, and so they keep getting it. They're also getting intelligence and getting advanced and things like that. But the thing about life is that the life just circles, and that's the thing about life is life circles because of the age of a man and a woman. Some go beyond 100, but hardly what 10%, if that, maybe 5% that will actually live beyond 100. Most of them are between 60, 70, 80, 90. They're gone. You know what I mean? They're done and they're gone, moved on. And so please, the point is that don't stress so much, don't worry so much about this idea that somehow the world is doomed because of the technology or the robots or this new AI thing and all that, electric cars. I'm sorry, you people are gonna be fine. I promise. It's a 100% guarantee. You're gonna be fine because your existence matters far more than any creations of human, which is you, right? So whatever you create, unless it's another human you created, now that human can destroy your life and take over your life and even take your life, period. But anything else you create cannot take over a human race. And most important of all, learn to use the technology to your advantage, because that's the one thing it is for you to be able to advance yourself while using the technology. Because if you can if you're multitasking every single day, but that multitasking is, let's say, 3, 4 ways, 5 ways, 6 ways, you know what I mean? Whatever, 7, 8, 9, 10 ways. And but now you can have a creation of a robot that can handle a lot of things like they do. A lot of them now do a chat, they take phone calls, they voicemails, different things like that. So all these things that happen, and use that to your advantage. Don't be ignorant to it and say, I don't want to use it, because that makes no sense. That just makes you you're not capable of taking advantage of what is possible, of what is available to you, and then more importantly, you're not willing to advance and stretch your own imagination and your own willingness to have a better life. So I would say relax and go by your day doing what you're supposed to be doing for yourself, for your loved ones, and live a good life, and live a life of without a worries, because the worries only take up your time and add nothing to it. And just know this idea that if one day robots did take over, it's only a matter of a day or two before the humans take over the robots again. All right? So it's never gonna be a permanent thing. It's not possible, because anything that we as humans create, it's only a creations of ours, unless we create another human being, because another human being can have our intelligence and plus some. But any machine that we create can never have the intelligence of a human intelligence, because we have a life. They don't. We create them. We are a creation of a life. So enjoy, and do what scares you, but don't be so impulsive. If you need to take a day, take a moment, take a time, you know what I mean, whatever, take your time, you know what I mean, think about it. And, but don't be a fool who says that, like, I will win without trying. No, if you don't try, there is no progress, period. So definitely try, and live to your best self. And every day, evaluate yourself from the day before. That did you do one thing? That's it. That's all that matters. It does not matter 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It does not matter. 1% matters. Did you do one thing differently better than yesterday? Are you 1% ahead than yesterday? Like yesterday, maybe you didn't have enough to eat, enough to live, enough to drive, enough to do anything. But today you have 1% better, and that's good enough. So take care.